Welcome to Conscious Living Collective, transformative journey in consciousness with community of like-minded people. My name is Tomek. I'm a teacher here on Insight Timer, a scientist, and also a transformational coach. In this live session, we blend the latest in scientific research, the deep wisdom of mindfulness, and the art of fulfilled living. As always, this is an invitation to have your own direct first-hand experience and emerge on the other side with a renewed sense of purpose and well-being. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm very glad to be here. And as always, at the start, I want to acknowledge wonderful members who hold up this space for all of us. Hello, Seth. Hello, Parvana. Hello, Diane. Hello, V. Very good to see you here. And also the regulars who come here and with the presence shape the nature of Conscious Living Collective. Otherwise, it won't be collective. It will be just me. Hello, Anne. Hello, Tosca. Who else I see here? If you here for the first time, I'm always... hello, Charmaine. If you're here for the first time, raise your hand. I think Heather is for the first time. Hello, Heather. So for your benefit, I just want to say that Conscious Living Collective, it's a weekly gathering of like-minded people gathered around similar values, searching, discovering, exploring different ideas. And the meeting always has two components: our discussion and where we bring our collective energy to come up with certain or discover or deconstruct certain ideas. And that at the end, let's see how we can put all this knowledge into practice and meditate with that knowledge present in the space of meditation. Oh, Carmi's here. Oh, yes. Hello, Carmela. Carmela, you have most of you have icons that represent your picture. Carmela is just C, but I will make a better effort to see that C of Carmela in the group, because you are a wonderful contribution to our group. So hello, hello, hello. Yeah, so I think housekeeping is done. If you have, oh, hello, Laura. Hello, Swiss R. Always feel free to put a comment or by simply saying hello, where you from. Any contribution to this group is valued, because that's the topic of today's session, in a sense. It's not the big things that make the biggest difference. Actually, the smallest things make the biggest difference. Today, we'll be talking about motivation, energy, and community. And I'd like to make an effort to connect them all here in front of you. And I hope you will make your own connection with these three concepts of energy, motivation, and community. So when I was meditating this morning, I will be perfectly honest with you. My motivation was average at best. I had a couple of challenges that were on my mind. I was doubting. And then what happened to me, and what almost always happens, even when I know it, when I finally get into the meditative position, and when I, what's the good word to use it? Sit back in my awareness. And please help me to use the right words, maybe words that resonate with you and your practice. What happens when you meditate? Where do you go? What happens? What is the source of your motivation to sit? And my motivation, it wasn't certainly in my mind. On the level of my mind, I definitely was averagely motivated. I'm making up words here. So my motivation was, on the level of the mind, was very different to what I actually experienced. because the motivation, how we understand, and feel free to have a conversation with me here about it. It's a concept. It's something that we derive from the intellect. We create or we attach it to props. Perhaps it's achieving a goal. Perhaps is creating a new relationship. Perhaps is delivering a project, making a profit, name it. And when we create such a network of props that attach to the word motivation, all of a sudden we realize our motivation is very much dependent on the circumstances. And this is very important. This is very important, I think, to understand that there is a conceptual level to motivation. But today I want to discuss with you something that happened to me and happens actually frequently when I finally make the move into the meditation and start resting in awareness. That conceptual motivation disappears. Because on the fundamental level, and if you saw our previous sessions of Conscious Living Collective the past couple of weeks, you see that we consider awareness a fundamental aspect. Fundamental aspect as in the element. And again, element is not, it's a very limiting word. But let's say an element or an aspect may be better. That is always there, regardless of the intellectual understanding of the situation, of the emotional understanding of the situation. Awareness is the background out of which everything appears. And this is the good reason, well, for me at least, and I'd like to ask you about your reasons to sit down and meditate. When you finally arrive in awareness, when you discover that all the thoughts, all the worries that you have, they just components that appear out of awareness. When you sit back, something shifts. And that shift is essentially a fundamental reason, again, not motivation, but the reason why it is so important to spend time retrospectively reflecting on our thoughts and emotions and everything that happens. And let me bring back to you, Seth. I've dropped the veil. I stopped striving. Seth has very good ways with words and can encapsulate something that I spent 5 minutes describing in just 2 sentences. I dropped the veil. I stopped striving. This is it. That's what is happening when we come back to awareness. And the reason why we have sessions of Conscious Living Collective is to remind us, continuously remind us about that simple truth that, again, on a paper is, oh yeah, that makes sense, stop striving and drop the veil. But it's so difficult when we encounter the layers upon layers of the intellect and thoughts and emotions that actually occupying the space of awareness, that coming out of awareness and blurring, in a sense, the underlying fundamental principles, the causal space of awareness. Hillary, hello. I've joined you before, glad to be back. Last time I asked about the academic background, not to be critical, but because your mind is a fascinating combining of training and knowledge. I was curious, just saying that as my contribution piece. My academic background, I have Ph.D. in chemistry, to be more precise, organic chemistry or molecular design. So I spent many years in academia, reading scientific papers, doing experimental work. And maybe this is the reason why, even though I do not talk about chemistry to you a lot, I think the structure of my intellect is influenced by the years in academia. And I consider myself scientist not because I have a degree, because the way I understand it is a certain curiosity about the reality at large. And that is not limited to chemistry, biology, physics, mathematics, but includes them all. And in a sense, this is a good question to lead into another alley of understanding of what we are doing here. When you are a physicist, when you are a chemist, when you are, a lawyer, you choose a certain angle. And that angle, again, coming back to the motivation part of our understanding, comes from that very limited, however valid and right, but limited understanding of the reality. If you ask a lawyer about the reality, it's a set of rules and laws, and people should behave in a certain way and adhere to certain principles. But when you ask a physicist or a chemist, there's also a set of principles, but they are very different. The guiding rules in chemistry and molecules coming together, interacting, creating connections, and then from the smaller connections, growing bigger connections, right? Creating community. You see, as a chemist, there's no talk about community. But as a chemist, I can tell you that the chemistry, that it's a metaphor sometimes, there's a chemistry between two people, that what is happening between us right here in Conscious Living Collective. We have metaphorically created a chemistry through interaction. And that's why the second part of the title of our session today is community. And that community, motivation and community, are very important aspects because, and this is something I want to share with you, and feel free to tell me what you think about it. The motivation is a relational thing. And for most of us, again, that relation is between us as awareness and the conceptual understanding, intellectual understanding of things, right? I'm motivated by profit. I'm motivated by creating a relationship. I'm motivating to achieving goals, and so on and so forth. But when we come back to us as we are here as Conscious Living Collective, you recognize that I am motivated not because any of that, but simply because I can spend my time together with you. This is my motivation. That's why I am producing these words. That's why I am making effort to create all this setup, to convey certain things, because I discovered for myself, and this is my invitation always to you, to discover things for yourself during the session of Conscious Living Collective. What is the motivation, the fundamental motivation behind everything that you do? Is it something that someone told you at some point during your life? Is it still that what motivates you? Is it something that you discovered for yourself? Is it based on your experience? Or is it based on who you are? And I'm not asking now the chemist, physicist, a lawyer, an economist, a poet, an artist, but something that all of those descriptions are derived from. And those descriptions are derived from the deeper sense of self that is the awareness that you are. And we are making effort in sessions of Conscious Living Collective to, through exploration of consciousness, go strip all these layers, all those, an onion obviously comes to mind. We're stripping the layers, right? And trying to discover what there is where all the roles are being removed. Can you be as opposed to do? Classic example being, are you a human doing or human being? And I think the answer to that is we are both, depends on the circumstances, but certainly Conscious Living Collective is an invitation to consider, even for a moment, the level of being and see how that informs your doing, not the other way around. I think this is I dare say, mistake that so many of us are doing, that we continuously working with our mind and determine our motivation, our energy, everything we derived from the sense of doing. And this is obviously not our fault. We talk about it a lot. This is simply a derivative of what we are as a society, as a collective. For those who try to simply indulge in being and let go of all the doing, they could not be part of a society as we know it. They could not. They most likely would not be able to function. They would starve to death, right? Because you still have to fulfill the needs of the body, the nutrient and hydration and all the things that your body do. So that's why we consider things very carefully, but we are not trying to be naive. We're not trying to simply say that by meditating 8 hours a day will create a perfect life. As we said in our previous sessions, life, it's a balance of many elements. However, what I try to point out that the balance for most of us, it's shifted towards the material part, towards the doing part, manipulating matter, moving from one place to another, building houses, driving cars, moving our limbs. And I want to remind you that in meditation, you do not do any of that. As a matter of fact, you're removing all those elements. You close your eyes. Ideally, will play your music during the meditation part, which is supposed to be a nice background, but you're removing all the physical elements. And you consider the non-physical, which is beyond the senses. And one of the biggest struggles, certainly for me, and feel free to share your experience with it, is that, as Buddhists refer to it as a sixth sense, the thinking remains. Thinking is not physical. And I want to be careful when I say that thinking is non-physical, because it is derived from the physical aspect of our reality, which is the structure of our brain. I consider brain as an antenna. It's not something where consciousness originates from. I think research on that is very clear. We cannot find consciousness in any part of the brain or as a brain as a whole. But brain acts as an antenna that, through taking actions throughout our life, it's structured in a certain way. You kind of bend this antenna in a shape that it's prone more to receiving certain kind of information. Right? So this is what remains on the physical level in the space of meditation. But everything else disappears, right? All of a sudden you sit, hands in your lap, comfortably removing all the physical obstacles. The vision disappears because you allow your eyes to close. And what happens then? Like for me, as I said, thinking remains. Okay. Parvana, when life gets in the way of my meditation practice, I feel less regulated and less at ease. And I think this is I know, Parvana, you asked this question or made that comment 10 minutes ago, but this is very much in what we're discussing, what we're considering. What I put out there for you to consider, if the balance that you experience in your life is between doing and being, is, as Parvana puts it, may be off. And what is the result of when you're out of balance, right? You feel less at ease. You receive a feedback from the system, and that system usually is your psycho-emotional well-being, right? Something is not right. But most of us, we jump into conclusion that something externally is not right. Right? This is how our mind works because of our conditioning in this society. We tend to blame the external circumstances for lack of balance. But what I invite you today to do is actually sit back and see if the balance is being restored when you remove all those external circumstances and see what's the intrinsic motivation on the level of the awareness. If perhaps, only perhaps, this is an assumption here, I'd like you to test for yourself. If by sitting back in awareness in meditation, as I mentioned in the beginning, there's a shift. Is there a shift? And why the shift happens, if happens at all? What has changed? Because suddenly what surrounds you did not change. You'll be sitting in the same room. The world will be going around its own ways in the same way. So where does the shift come from? And this is the intellectual question. But again, before you ask that question, I will invite you to actually sit. Sit and relax into the underlying awareness that there is. And And often I find my motivation comes as much from the body as from the mind. Feeling emotions and stress in the body and mind. When I meditate, everything shows, and I am all here. And Anna agrees with Seth. Stop striving and trying to fix things. So this is, again, Anne points out towards that dualism of things. And when I say dualism, the body and mind. We are neither nor. We are both. And our job, in a sense, is to find out what is the right balance on one and the other for you. And now we are coming into the individual part, because, what Tomek says and Tomek shares with you does not apply exactly the same way for all of you. That's why I'm not telling you, you should feel this way or do this thing. No, because I am different. I can only share my own experiences and my own understanding, so you have a springboard for your consideration to apply your unique psychophysical circumstances or body and mind circumstances and see, that is interesting. It's not like you, but there is a connection. And where's the connection? The connection is the awareness, because this is the one level at which we become the same. That's the common denominator. We're coming from the same fundamental principle of awareness, of consciousness, if you will. And this is also the reason, and I want to bring the third component, why our community is possible. Why we call this session Conscious Living Collective. And I specifically, I'm insisting on the name. Maybe there'll be better name in the future, but for now it's Conscious Living Collective. Conscious, it means living in awareness together, where we move away from dualism of things. I am so-and-so, such and such on the level of the body. And we are finding a common ground. And how is that being experienced? When I will guide you into meditation in just a moment, the words that will come out of my mind, out of my mouth, will be the same for all 88 of you. You will hear the same words, and yet your experience will be very different. Because on the fundamental level, even though you are in the same awareness coming from the same source, you are here to have your unique, original experience of the same thing. This is the beauty. To give you an example, you go to a museum, you look at a painting of Mona Lisa, and some of you are like, oh, this is phenomenal. And some of other persons are like, yeah, that's okay. One person will focus on the eyes. Some other person will focus on the shape of the face, the hair, maybe some other person in the background. So the same source and different experience. That's where magic happens. And then when you start not understanding it, and this is the important part of community and why the relations between us are so important. When you start understanding that you are coming from the same source, using the metaphor of watching the Mona Lisa painting, you looking at the same picture, but you have different experience. And when you understand that, what happens is you are let me put it in a perspective of what happens in our world, the competition, right? Competition dominates our society. Right? If you're not gonna get it, or if you're gonna get it, I'm not gonna get it. Because this is very much the intellectual understanding of things, the scarcity mindset, as they call it. But when you have enough experience in awareness, as we all do here have, because we here on Insight Timer, I'm not just giving a lecture to an academic. I'm not trying to teach you about anything, or this is not a prerequisite to a degree, or I'm not trying to achieve any specific goal here. I'm trying to be with you here to improve our understanding, collective understanding of the things. So, coming back to the metaphor of watching Mona Lisa, you no longer see, okay, if you see Mona Lisa and I see Mona Lisa, we are not competing. There's no competition, never has been. You either can have your complete own understanding, or if you evolve in awareness, not in intellectual understanding. If you evolve enough, you start understanding, I'm watching Mona Lisa, and there's someone next to me watching Mona Lisa too. He's not better than me. I'm not worse than him or her. We are simply watching the same thing. And it doesn't bother me no more that person might focus on the background, on the eyes, on the face. No, because we are all watching, we are all observing and admiring the same painting. My experience is no longer prohibited or worse because of someone else standing next to me. And that's the fundamental, this is the fundament of collaboration in the collective. Not the scarcity mindset that points out towards intellectual, well, it is a one piece of cake, and either I can have it or you can have it. Now, on the fundamental level, on the wisdom traditions invite us to recognize that truth, that we are looking at the same piece of cake. And coming back to the matrix metaphor from the past couple of sessions, it's all just matrix. It's all experience. It's always sharing. But again, if you're coming to these sessions purely from the intellectual point of view, this might sound like a gibberish. Like, yeah, if you take that piece of cake, then I cannot have it. And we're trying to understand. We try and come back to the awareness and start understanding that ultimately there was never a piece of cake. It wasn't about that. It never was. It's about coming from the same source and collaborating towards improving or enlarging, or I don't know what's the other word, English word is. Please help me. This whole life together. And even in English language, I cannot truly explain it, because language is a construct that is created based on this or that, hot or cold, white or black. It's built upon concepts of the opposites. And that's why in just a moment we will jump into meditation, when you will have a chance to experience it yourself. You won't be talking to yourself during the meditation practice. As Parvana mentioned, when you're out of balance, when it's too much intellect, you feel that something is, you feel unease. So you come back to the awareness that can balance out all the doing and all the language. As a matter of fact, when we start meditating and you feel the thoughts coming to your awareness or appearing on the screen of your awareness in the forms of words, right, the inner chatter, you recognize this is not important right now. The thinking, as Buddhists consider the sixth sense, is not the object or subject in this practice. Resting in awareness is. And you see, and I will invite you, maybe you will see, maybe you'll not. This is an experiment for you. As a scientist, I can say we always conducting experiments in Conscious Living Collective in our meditation part. You see for yourself what shifts, if something shifts, when you coming back to the level of being. When you intentionally, and this is the effort that we are making, intentionally bring yourself back to the fundamental level when there's no subject-object, when there's no you or me, there's just, and again using another metaphor that is very often used, we are all part of the same ocean. You're just one ripple here, I'm one ripple there, but ultimately it's just one ocean. And you see how language that is derived from the intellect fails here. Because if someone who studied logic, for instance, yeah, but you clearly see, Tomek is not Parvane, Tomek is not Seth, Charmaine is not Hillary. Right? We are different. When you look at from the lens of the matter, when you look through your eyes, so to speak, not so to speak, literally, you see the differences. When you come back to awareness, you start discovering similarities. And neither of that points of view creates a full picture. Both of them are important in order to have the perspective, the full perspective. And we doing just that today, together, collectively. 100 people right now. That's what the power is. If 100 people gather, I don't know. I come from the religious background. I was raised Christian, and I studied Bible, and I take certain aspects of the wisdom, particularly the wisdom part of the Bible, and I want to quote when I think Jesus said at some point, when two or more gather in my name, there I am. And the reason I mention it, because that's why we are gathered together here. There's a wisdom in these words, and I don't care who said that. It could be Jesus, could be Buddha, could be Muhammad. Whoever said that, It was just the expression of the deeper wisdom, an underlying principle of that we embracing in meditation here. Where two or more gather in my name, and my name is not a person, and two, let me translate it into language I've been using right now. When two or more gather in awareness, and in case on our session, 100 of us, there I am. We start having collective experience. That it's very different. And again, that's something I want to experience for you. So whatever you experience is not just you. It's a collective effort. And your experience is sum of, in this case, 100 individuals meditating together. And your experience is affected by it. And see for yourself. Is it going to be easier to rest in awareness? Is it going to be difficult? It's going to be easy. It's going to be different. It's going to be the same as when you sit on your own. Find out for yourself. See what's your motivation. We didn't talk much about energy, but I think between motivation and community, between awareness and togetherness, that's why I put the energy in the middle of the title. Energy is the outcome. So how about you see for yourself what's the energy? The word for that a substitute could be vitality of yours. Not of yours, but the vitality that you experience will be when we jump into meditation part. Any questions or comments before we jump into meditation? Okay. I understand there's a lot to digest here, but we ultimately allow to just that knowledge, that understanding, that intellectual concepts to percolate in the back of our awareness and see what the experience, how the experience unfolds. We're not here to understand concepts. We're here to have first-hand experienced. So let's do it. And Peter Herland, with his beautiful music, will support our exploration. It's like, having an orchestra playing in the background as you travel through the sea of time and space. Are you ready? Okay. I'll switch to meditation screen. Okay. Here we are. Beginning this meditation by assuming position in which you remove the physical obstacles that come from the level of the matter. From the level of your body. We're trying to subtract in this initial part as opposed to add. We're subtracting senses, the sensory input by allowing your eyes to close. You're resting your feet on the floor to feel grounded and settled. We are sitting upright in a way that supports unrestricted flow of our breathing. And anything else that in this very moment will support your comfort and ease. And very intentionally tune in and ask your body if there's anything else that is required to support you in this very moment. As if you spoke to a friend. Are you all right? Is there anything else I can do to make sure that you are comfortable? Except this time you pose this question towards your own body. Maybe move my foot to the left. Maybe put my hands in the lap. Relax my jaw. Soften my face. Then you will find that your body will communicate to you, maybe shoulders, maybe my neck, maybe somewhere in the lower back that can be adjusted by moving my position. That wonderful communication that happens is your way of settling in. And recognizing that all this movement, all these adjustment, they happen in awareness. Your body does not create awareness. Your body resides in the conscious field of awareness. And see for yourself how it feels to be part of this space that we share. Recognize it's not just you and me. There are others, other individual consciousnesses, so to speak, that are part of the vast ocean of awareness that share this space with you. And perhaps that improves your experience, makes it easier to be. So right now I invite you to relax, so to speak, into the field of awareness in which all of this happens. And take a role of an observer of the conscious experience, observing your thoughts, the responses of your body, perhaps emotions that come your way, even mental processes that show us thoughts, memories, planning the future, considering the past. Simply observe. In here and now. But when you observe, you are aware of the observer. You are not the thought that comes out of awareness. You are not the emotion that comes out of awareness. You are certainly not physical sensation that comes out of awareness. You are awareness itself. You are observing. You are being. There's no need to take any action to adjust or change the flow of information. But simply sitting back as in a theater, being part of the audience, observing the play, interaction of thoughts, emotions, feelings, everything that comes to the stage, not interacting. So I will allow you now in silence to observe for yourself. And I will bring you back when the time is up. And now, shift your awareness towards the physical part. Recognize the space around you. And notice that you do not have to open your eyes in order to sense it. Simply become aware that your body is positioned in space, that it's surrounded by physical objects. You can be aware of them without engaging external senses. Awareness itself is enough. In the same way, shift your awareness towards recognizing the shape of your physical body. How is it being positioned? See if you can start being aware of the shape of your body. And that is that too happens in awareness. That is you. And now let us take it even further, more into physical, by guiding gentle movements. Wiggle your toes, move your fingers. Also very gently tilt your head to the left, perhaps feeling your muscles in your neck stretching. Tilt your head to the right. Bring it back to the center. And now consciously allow your eyes to open. And welcome back. Thank you for meditating with me. How was that experience for you? How was residing in consciousness over this past couple of minutes? Did you sense a sense of shift? What changed? Perhaps nothing changed. What have risen from awareness for you? One or two words. I want to welcome all of you who joined later. I hope you caught the meditation part. And thank you for being here, all of you. I will start as you put your experiences into comment section. There was moving in and out of awareness. Awareness as the observer into the object, being more within my thoughts or within my guidance, and then moving back, particularly in the silent part. But altogether was interesting because none of everything that happened there wasn't disturbing me. Maybe this is something that during my daily life, I catch myself being disturbed in many different shapes and forms. And perhaps this is the biggest difference when I allow myself to be in awareness during the formal meditation practice or any day, any moment throughout the day. That kind of the reality loses the grip over me. I'm not sure if that describes what I'm really feeling. Parvana, feeling more at ease. Wonderful. Hillary, I didn't have things rise as much as I sunk into myself. Again, all experiences are valid. I love that. So, I had releases in my neck and back during the meditation, feel much better. Well, for those of you who perhaps are holding some emotions in various part of your body, body keeps the score, keeps the record of all the emotional states that you went through, and so sometimes your body needs to release these, and that certainly happens when you allow it, right? You're no longer holding to it, you release the grip as opposed to tightening around it. So I'm glad to hear that, soul. Charmaine, it's so good to give permission to rest in awareness. Again, for most of us, because of the intellectual nature of our lives, we need to give permission. This is specifically and very exactly, this is almost like a magic. You know how in Harry Potter they have spells and they have the expecto patronum and all the different words to manifest something. This is very much what Charmaine explains, that you have to give permission literally in your mind to rest and to release. Because on the unconscious level, most of the time we are gripping with our minds, right? With gripping with our roles and everything else. So thank you. Karen feels more relaxed. Yes, Seth, moving in and out of awareness. We share that, an amplified awareness of various physical sensations. As you would, Seth, I understand that. Definitely, your awareness will be residing around the sensations in your body. So this is as it should happen. So glad. Carmela, being in awareness makes me feel connected. And Carmela brings her wonderful wisdom into the group. Thank you. This is it. Some of us, as Carmela does, the awareness of being together. Yet another aspect of consciousness. There are as many unique experiences as there are numbers here on Conscious Living Collective. Andrea drifted deep. And feeling relaxed and open. Joanne, sense of calm in my otherwise anxious mind. Again, what comes to me in all of your experiences, all of you who described it at least, is the grip loosened, right? I'm literally, and I think in me as well, this is not just you, because as an intellectual person, as a scientist, as a chemist, there's a grip of things, the need to control. That's the nature of the mind, right? That's a very strong characteristic of the mind, the gripping things. Versus what we're doing, we're releasing the grip. As Charmaine said, it's a giving permission. You need to use magical word in order to let go of the grip, to stop grasping. So yeah. Well, thank you very much, all of you, for being here and co-creating this space. Thank you for sharing that experience with me and being part of Conscious Living Collective. For those of you who want to join us next week, the same time. For those of you who are here for the first time, we're gathering every week on Monday, Brisbane time, Australia, or Sunday afternoon, evening, as you are aware of this, you know what time is it right now where you are, on Sunday in the US. I just want to say, if you wish to receive any notifications, I just posted card, and it's a link to my profile on Insight Timer. That's where you can follow me, where you can turn on notifications and also infrequently receive a notification about upcoming events, meditations, and so on and so forth. That's also the place where you can send me a message and share something that you are not willing to share in the group. There are many opportunities there. And what's coming to me right now, see what comes of your awareness. The word intuition comes to mind. When we are resting in awareness, we allowing intuition to flourish. Or we allowing our intuition to take precedent over the intellect. So if something comes out of your awareness, out of your intuition, perhaps follow that and see what's going to happen. So the great way is not difficult for those who have no preferences. That's right. Words of wisdom. Sarah, are we ready for the next level class? Thank you. I look forward to seeing you next week, all of you. And thank you, the first timers, for being here. I hope you enjoyed the session and found something for yourself, expanding your own awareness and understanding of what's happening here with your life. Thank you again for being here. I will leave you with Peter Helen, his wonderful music. I look forward to seeing you next time.